You'll be rewarded tonight in my bed." The alien noblewoman whispered. The city of Lithera sparkled under the twin suns, each ray bouncing off the silver towers and glass walkways that stretched across the skyline. Ships glided silently through the air, leaving trails of soft light in their wake. Among them moved a human ambassador, a young man named Kale, whose eyes widened at every new sight. This was his first time visiting an alien world, a place known across galaxies for its wealth, culture, and mysteries. Kale had heard many stories about the alien noble families, their grand palaces, and their intricate rituals. But nothing had prepared him for the sight of the Litheran palace. Towering and elegant, it seemed to float above the city, its walls shimmering in hues of silver and blue. At the gates, robotic sentries moved with quiet precision, scanning all arrivals. Kale's heart raced as he was led through halls filled with holographic art, depicting the history of the Litheran civilization in vivid, moving images. Finally, he arrived at the main chamber, a vast space that seemed to stretch into the sky itself. The chamber's centerpiece was a circular platform, suspended slightly above the ground, with intricate patterns glowing faintly beneath its surface. Standing on the platform was the noblewoman, Lady Seraphine, known throughout the galaxy for her wisdom and grace. She was tall and regal, her skin shimmering faintly under the light, and her eyes carried an intelligence that seemed to pierce through Kale's very thoughts. "Welcome to Lithera, Ambassador Kale," she said, her voice calm but carrying an undeniable authority. "I have heard much of your journey and your people. Tonight, you shall be rewarded for your perseverance and courage in coming here." Kale's stomach tightened. He had prepared for a diplomatic meeting, discussions about trade and interstellar alliances, but the words felt different coming from Seraphine. He reminded himself to stay composed. "Thank you, Lady Seraphine. It is an honor to be here." She smiled faintly, a gesture that made the room feel warmer despite the cold glow of the chamber. "Follow me. I will show you what awaits." Kale followed her across the platform and down a spiral staircase that led to a private hall. The hall was unlike anything he had imagined. Transparent walls allowed a view of the city below, while soft, ethereal music played in the background. In the center was a table laden with objects Kale did not recognize, glimmering crystals, strange devices, and ancient tomes. "These," Seraphine explained, "are treasures of knowledge and art passed down through generations. You will see that our rewards are not always what one expects. Some are experiences, some are lessons, and some are tools to help you understand the universe better." Kale approached cautiously. One crystal pulsed with soft light as he reached for it. The moment his fingers brushed its surface, a holographic image sprang up, showing a map of distant stars and unexplored systems. He could see the paths of countless ships, the trade routes, the regions rich in rare minerals and resources. His breath caught. This is incredible," he whispered. Seraphine watched him closely. "Knowledge is the greatest reward. A mind that learns can influence entire civilizations. And tonight, you will learn more than most humans ever will." As the night deepened, she guided him through other wonders. A library that contained the histories of dozens of worlds, a chamber where music could be sculpted into shapes and colors, and a garden that defied gravity, where flowers floated and glowed softly in midair. Every room challenged Kale's understanding of reality, and every moment left him in awe. Finally, they reached the central observatory, a dome of crystal that revealed the cosmos in stunning clarity. Stars, planets, and distant nebulae seemed close enough to touch. Seraphine gestured toward a particularly bright star. "That is the heart of the Thalric cluster. It is said that only those who have truly mastered curiosity and patience can navigate its secrets." Kale felt a surge of determination. "I want to learn, Lady Seraphine. I want to understand it all." She nodded approvingly. "Then your journey has just begun. Tonight is not merely a reward of comfort or luxury. It is the beginning of a path toward understanding, toward greatness. You will see challenges, puzzles, and discoveries that will test your mind and spirit, but you will never face them alone." Kale looked at her, realizing that this alien noblewoman, despite the difference in their species, had recognized something in him, something worth nurturing. The weight of the responsibility, the thrill of adventure, and the promise of learning swirled together in a heady mix that made him forget fear. As the night wore on, he explored more chambers, met scholars and inventors, and observed experiments that seemed like magic yet were grounded in principles he was only beginning to understand. Each moment brought new insights, and each conversation revealed more about the complex and beautiful society he had entered. By the time dawn approached, Kale felt a transformation within himself. He was no longer just a visitor. He was part of something larger, a participant in a civilization that valued knowledge, creativity, and the pursuit of excellence. And as he looked at Lady Seraphine, who now seemed less like a distant noble and more like a guide and mentor, he realized that the true reward of the evening was not in the treasures or the views, but in the opportunity to grow, to expand his mind, and to step into a future that held limitless possibilities. And as the first rays of the twin suns touched the observatory dome, he knew that part one of his journey had only just begun. The universe was vast, the challenges many, but for the first time, Kale felt ready to face them. The morning light spilled over Lithera like liquid gold, touching every tower and walkway, turning the city into a shimmering maze of silver and glass. Kale awoke in his guest chambers within the palace, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The events of the previous night still played vividly in his mind: the glowing crystals, the floating garden, the library that seemed to stretch into infinity. He had seen wonders that challenged his understanding of the universe, yet he knew that these were only the beginning. A soft chime echoed through the room, signaling the start of the day. Kale quickly dressed and followed the hallways until he reached the central courtyard, where Lady Seraphine awaited. Her presence was calm and reassuring, as if she had been expecting him to arrive exactly at that moment. "Good morning, Ambassador Kale," she said. "I trust your rest was sufficient," Kale bowed slightly. "Yes, Lady Seraphine, I feel ready for whatever the day holds." She smiled, and for a moment the sunlight glinted off the subtle patterns on her attire, making her appear almost ethereal. "Today you will face your first challenge, not one of combat nor of fear, but of intellect and understanding. It is designed to test your ability to observe, learn, and adapt, qualities that every great leader must possess." Kale nodded, his heart quickening. He had trained for diplomacy and negotiation, but the thought of a test on an alien world added a thrill he had never known. They walked together through the palace corridors, descending a spiral staircase that led to a vast chamber unlike any Kale had seen before. The floor was made of translucent material, and beneath it moved patterns of light that shifted and changed, like a living puzzle. Along the walls were intricate devices that hummed softly, and in the center floated a sphere of light, slowly rotating. "This is the Chamber of Insight," Seraphine explained. "It was created to challenge the mind and the senses. The sphere you see holds a sequence of tasks. You must observe carefully, understand the rules, and find solutions that are not immediately obvious. Many have tried and failed, but I believe a human mind has potential that even we do not fully understand." Kale stepped closer to the floating sphere. The light within it split into smaller fragments, each forming a different scene. One showed a desert planet with shifting sands, another a forest with trees that moved subtly, and yet another a city of crystal spires. It was mesmerizing and overwhelming. He took a deep breath. "Where do I begin?" he asked. "Observe first," Seraphine replied. "Understand the patterns before you act. The sphere responds to thought, intuition, and creativity. Do not rush. There is no penalty for careful consideration." Kale began studying the sphere, noticing small connections between the fragments. The desert planet's sands shifted in patterns similar to the movements of the forest's branches. The crystal city's lights reflected constellations that matched the paths of the other two worlds. Slowly, he began to see a rhythm, a logic that tied the scenes together. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes as Kale worked. He moved from observation to action, gently touching the sphere's light fragments, causing them to align and respond. Sometimes he hesitated, unsure if his choices were correct, but Seraphine's calm presence reminded him to trust his instincts. Finally, the sphere pulsed brightly, and the patterns merged into a coherent map of interconnected worlds. A soft, melodic chime echoed through the chamber, signaling success. Kale stepped back, amazed at what he had accomplished. "You have done well," Seraphine said, her eyes shining with approval. "You saw the connections that others often overlook. This is the quality that allows humans to adapt and thrive, even in the most complex situations. Remember this: it is not strength or speed, but understanding and creativity that define greatness." Kale felt a rush of pride, not for himself alone, but for his species. Here, on an alien world, humans were being recognized for their unique abilities. It was an experience he would carry with him forever. Seraphine led him out of the chamber into the palace gardens, where floating flowers and gentle streams of water defied gravity. Other scholars and visitors moved through the space, studying, learning, and sharing ideas. Kale realized that this palace was not merely a place of luxury. It was a center of knowledge and enlightenment, where beings of many worlds came together to grow. "Your journey is just beginning," Seraphine said, guiding him along a walkway that seemed to hover above the garden. "Tomorrow, you will begin your training in diplomacy and strategy, learning how to negotiate, mediate, and lead. But tonight, you will attend a gathering of ambassadors from across the galaxy. It will be an opportunity to practice what you have learned and to show the value of humanity." Kale nodded, excitement building. The thought of meeting beings from distant worlds, each with their own culture and perspective, was thrilling. He felt ready, more confident than ever. As evening approached, the grand hall of the palace filled with light and color. Holographic displays danced across the walls, showing star systems, trade routes, and histories of civilizations Kale had never imagined. Ambassadors in robes of many hues moved gracefully, exchanging ideas, sharing knowledge, and listening intently. Kale felt a moment of nervousness, but Seraphine's reassuring glance reminded him of his accomplishments. He approached a group of alien scholars, introducing himself and sharing insights about human culture, technology, and philosophy. To his surprise, they listened with genuine interest, asking questions and exchanging ideas. The night passed in a blur of conversation, laughter, and discovery. Kale realized that the reward Seraphine had spoken of was more than personal recognition. It was the chance to contribute, to learn, and to connect with beings across the stars. Humans were small in the grand scheme of the universe, but their curiosity, ingenuity, and spirit allowed them to shine. At the end of the evening, Seraphine guided Kale to a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns had set, leaving a sky filled with stars, nebulae, and distant planets. The lights of Lithera sparkled below, reflecting the promise of a future full of possibility. "You have done well today," she said softly. "Remember, greatness is not achieved in a single moment. It is built through understanding, perseverance, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. You are only at the beginning of your journey, Ambassador Kale, but I see great potential in you and your people." Kale looked out at the stars, feeling a sense of purpose he had never known. He was no longer just an ambassador. He was a bridge between worlds, a representative of humanity's best qualities. The palace, the challenges, and the wisdom of Lady Seraphine had shown him that humans could rise to meet the universe, not through violence or conquest, but through intellect, curiosity, and heart. As the night deepened, Kale felt a quiet confidence. He knew there would be challenges ahead, puzzles to solve, cultures to understand, and obstacles to navigate. Yet he also knew that he had the tools, the guidance, and the inner strength to face them. The city of Lithera stretched below, alive with possibility. Kale's journey had begun as a single step into the unknown, but now it felt like the first chapter of something much greater, a story of humanity's place among the stars, of discovery, understanding, and hope. And as he looked at Lady Seraphine, who stood beside him quietly, he realized that the greatest reward was not a single night, a crystal, or a test. It was the opportunity to grow, to learn, and to shine alongside the universe itself. Kale took a deep breath, feeling the vastness of the cosmos around him and the endless possibilities ahead. He knew that this was only the beginning, and that with every choice, every lesson, and every connection, humanity could rise and prove its worth in ways no one had imagined. The stars sparkled like promises in the night sky, and Kale felt ready to meet them all. The next morning, Kale awoke to a soft, golden light filtering through the palace windows. The events of the previous 2 days filled his mind, yet he felt a growing sense of purpose. Lithera was no longer just an alien world he was visiting. It was a place that had opened his mind to possibilities he had never imagined. Lady Seraphine had guided him through wonders and challenges, teaching him to see patterns, understand connections, and value knowledge above all. After a light breakfast of alien fruits and nutrient-rich foods, Kale met Seraphine in the palace atrium. She greeted him with a warm smile. "Today, you will engage with other civilizations more directly. Observation and learning are important, but diplomacy is the art of connection." You will see how humans can shine not only through intellect, but also through empathy and collaboration. Kale nodded eagerly. I am ready, Lady Seraphine. I want to learn how to help my people and build bridges between worlds. They walked through corridors adorned with moving tapestries that told the stories of Lithera's greatest explorers. Each image shimmered and shifted, capturing moments from centuries of discovery and diplomacy. Kale felt a thrill as he realized that the palace itself was a living testament to the value this civilization placed on knowledge, curiosity, and understanding. Seraphine led him to a large observation deck overlooking the city. Hovering platforms and flying vehicles moved gracefully between the towers. Beyond the city lay the vast expanse of Lithera's plains, dotted with shimmering lakes that reflected the twin suns above. Kale's attention was drawn to a group of alien delegates arriving from distant systems, their ships gliding silently to docking stations near the palace. Your task today is simple in words, but challenging in practice, Seraphine explained. You will meet these delegates, learn about their worlds, and find points of connection. You must listen carefully, ask thoughtful questions, and demonstrate the strengths of humanity. Remember, respect and curiosity will take you farther than force or fear. The first group of delegates was from the aquatic planet of Osara, their forms sleek and streamlined, moving gracefully across the platform. Kale approached with a polite bow, introducing himself and sharing simple greetings in the universal dialect he had learned. The Osarans responded with gestures and melodious sounds, quickly creating a dialogue of ideas. Kale spoke of human achievements, of exploration, art, and science, while listening intently to their descriptions of oceanic cities, floating gardens, and energy harvesting technologies. To his surprise, he found connections everywhere. The Osarans valued curiosity as much as humans did, and their methods of exploration often mirrored human inventiveness. Kale realized that across galaxies, intelligent beings shared fundamental desires to understand, to grow, and to create. As the morning passed, Kale met delegates from desert worlds, icy planets, and civilizations that thrived in dense forests suspended in the atmosphere. Each encounter challenged his assumptions and expanded his knowledge. Some cultures emphasized patience and observation, while others prized adaptability and improvisation. Kale absorbed these lessons eagerly, noticing patterns and strategies that could later benefit human diplomacy. At midday, Seraphine took him to a terrace overlooking the city's main plaza. Floating gardens and cascading waterfalls created a surreal, peaceful environment. She handed Kale a small, crystalline device. This will help you record observations and connect ideas. Use it wisely. It is a tool that translates understanding into insight. Kale activated the device and found it mapping the interactions he had observed, highlighting shared goals, potential conflicts, and solutions that could satisfy multiple civilizations simultaneously. He realized that human ingenuity and adaptability allowed him to navigate these complexities effectively. Unlike some civilizations that followed rigid rules, humans could think creatively and adjust strategies in real time. The afternoon was filled with interactive sessions, where Kale helped solve logistical puzzles involving trade routes, resource exchanges, and cultural misunderstandings. Each scenario tested his mind, but he also discovered the joy of collaboration. Delegates from distant worlds began to admire his ability to combine observation, reasoning, and empathy. Many expressed surprise at how a human could grasp such complex systems so quickly. By evening, the grand hall of the palace prepared for a gathering of all delegates and residents. Light filled the room in soft waves, and floating orbs projected historical records of each attending civilization. Kale stood beside Seraphine, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. The connections he had made, the insights he had shared, and the respect he had earned had transformed him from a visitor into a recognized participant in this interstellar assembly. Seraphine addressed the gathered audience, her voice clear and commanding yet gentle. Today, we witnessed an example of what is possible when beings from different worlds approach one another with curiosity, respect, and understanding. Ambassador Kale represents not just his people, but the spirit of humanity, adaptable, creative, and willing to learn. Let this be a reminder that cooperation and shared knowledge are the greatest rewards of all. Applause and gestures of respect filled the hall. Kale felt a warmth spread through him. He realized that true recognition was not given lightly. It was earned through understanding, dedication, and genuine engagement. After the gathering, Seraphine led Kale to the palace gardens once more. Floating flowers glimmered in soft light, and the air was filled with gentle melodies. "You have done more than I expected," she said. "Humans have a unique way of seeing the world. You notice patterns that others overlook, you adapt without losing your principles, and you connect in ways that foster cooperation. That is why I believe your species has a role to play among the stars." Kale looked around, taking in the beauty and complexity of Lithera. "I never imagined that humans could be appreciated in this way," he admitted. "Back home, we often think of ourselves as small, limited, or insignificant, but here I feel like anything is possible." Seraphine nodded. "Perspective is everything. And tonight you will see a different form of reward." She led him to a platform high above the gardens, where the twin suns had dipped below the horizon. The sky was alive with stars, distant planets, and traveling ships that glimmered like fireflies. The view made Kale's heart race with awe. "Humanity has the potential to rise to great heights," Seraphine said softly. "But knowledge alone is not enough. Wisdom comes from experience, observation, and thoughtful action. Your journey has shown that humans are capable of all three. Continue to grow, to learn, and to connect, and you will find that the universe holds no limits for those who seek to understand it." Kale felt a surge of determination. The challenges he had faced on Lithera, the puzzles, the interactions with delegates, and the guidance of Seraphine had all prepared him for what lay ahead. He now understood that being human was not a limitation. It was a strength, a source of creativity, resilience, and adaptability that could thrive even among the most advanced civilizations. As the night deepened, Kale walked through the floating gardens alone for a moment, reflecting on everything he had experienced. The palace, the Chamber of Insight, the diplomatic sessions, and the interstellar gathering had all transformed his perspective. He felt a sense of purpose that was both thrilling and humbling. Above him, stars twinkled like countless possibilities, each one a challenge, a lesson, or an opportunity. Kale knew that the universe was vast, but he also knew that humanity's potential was equally vast. The values he carried, curiosity, adaptability, empathy, and creativity, were the tools that would allow humans to navigate the cosmos. Returning to Seraphine, he felt gratitude not only for her guidance, but also for the opportunity to see humanity's place among the stars. "Thank you," he said simply, "for everything." Seraphine placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "The thanks is mutual, Kale. You have reminded us that even in a galaxy full of wonders, humanity has qualities worth celebrating. Tonight is not an end, but a continuation, a beginning of a journey that will shape the future of your species among the stars." Kale gazed at the horizon, the lights of Lithera blending with the starlight above. He felt a quiet confidence. The lessons of the past days, the challenges, and the discoveries had prepared him for the road ahead. Humanity had been given a chance to rise, to connect, and to shine. And Kale knew that he would do everything in his power to ensure that his people lived up to the promise of their potential. The twin moons of Lithera reflected softly on the gardens below, casting gentle light on Kale and Seraphine. It was a night of reflection, promise, and vision. The universe was vast, and the journey was just beginning. But Kale felt ready, knowing that humans, with their unique perspective and indomitable spirit, had a place among the stars. And as the night deepened, he whispered to himself, a quiet promise to the cosmos. He would make humanity proud, and he would help them rise to meet the endless possibilities that awaited in the universe. The following morning, Kale woke to a soft breeze drifting through the open windows of the palace chambers. The twin suns had barely risen, casting long golden streaks across the city of Lithera. The previous nights had been filled with wonders, challenges, and interactions that had expanded his understanding of the universe. Yet Kale felt that something even greater awaited him today. As he dressed, he noticed a small, glowing crystal on the bedside table. It pulsed gently as if calling him. Kale picked it up, and a holographic message projected into the air. It was Lady Seraphine, her serene figure hovering above him. "Good morning, Kale. Today you will engage in a mission that requires both insight and cooperation. You will work with beings from multiple worlds to create solutions that benefit everyone. This is not merely a test, it is an opportunity to shape the future." Kale's heart quickened. He had learned about observation, diplomacy, and strategy, but the idea of shaping outcomes on a galactic scale was exhilarating. "I am ready," he said aloud, though only the crystal could hear him. He made his way to the central hall where delegates from planets near and far had gathered. Seraphine greeted him warmly. "Your companions today are diverse. You will find that each of their civilizations has unique perspectives. Your task is to weave these perspectives together into a solution that can improve lives across worlds." Kale nodded and approached the group. He saw beings with crystalline bodies, shimmering skin, and forms that defied his imagination. There were those who communicated through colors, others through sound, and some through movements that seemed like dance. Kale felt a twinge of nervousness, but quickly reminded himself of the lessons Seraphine had taught him: observation, empathy, and patience. The first task was to design a network that would allow the free sharing of knowledge between worlds. Delegates contributed ideas from their home planets. The crystalline beings suggested storing information in light patterns that could traverse space instantly. The sound-based species offered harmonic frequencies to encode messages in ways resistant to interference. Others suggested architectural solutions, with floating libraries and mobile knowledge hubs. Kale listened carefully, asking questions and connecting ideas. He realized that humans excelled at combining disparate concepts into coherent solutions. He suggested a system that used both light and sound to encode information, with mobile hubs capable of adapting to each civilization's needs. The delegates nodded thoughtfully, and together they refined the plan, each species contributing its strength. By midday, the prototype network was taking shape as a series of holographic models. Kale guided the group through simulations, showing how knowledge could flow from one world to another, allowing civilizations to learn from each other without losing their unique identities. The delegates were impressed, not only with the human contribution but with Kale's ability to bring them together in collaboration. Seraphine watched silently, a small smile on her face. "You see, Kale," she said, "true leadership is not about commanding others. It is about listening, understanding, and helping others reach their full potential. You have done this exceptionally well." Encouraged, Kale proposed a second challenge: creating a system to solve environmental issues on planets with extreme climates. Desert worlds struggled with water shortages, icy planets faced energy challenges, and dense forest planets needed sustainable ways to harvest resources. Kale encouraged the delegates to share their solutions, then suggested ways to adapt ideas across planets. The next several hours were a whirlwind of innovation. Kale's human perspective, practical, adaptable, and creative, helped bridge gaps between the alien civilizations. They developed systems for water purification using crystalline filters, renewable energy channels powered by atmospheric currents, and floating gardens to maintain ecosystems. Each idea was carefully tested in simulations, and Kale guided the group to ensure that every solution was sustainable and beneficial for all. By late afternoon, the delegates had achieved a remarkable outcome. The systems they created could be implemented on dozens of worlds, improving lives and strengthening interstellar cooperation. Kale felt a deep satisfaction, knowing that humans had contributed meaningfully to a solution that would touch countless lives. Seraphine led Kale to a balcony overlooking the city as the twin suns began their descent. "You have done more than complete tasks, Kale. You have shown the true value of humanity, the ability to adapt, to connect, and to think creatively. Your species has immense potential to shape the universe, not through force, but through ingenuity and cooperation." Kale gazed out at Lithera, the city alive with light and movement. Flying vehicles glimmered against the sky, and distant planets shone like gems in the heavens. He thought of his home, of Earth, and felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity had always looked to the stars with curiosity, but now he understood that they could actively participate in shaping the galaxy, contributing knowledge, wisdom, and creativity. As evening fell, the palace prepared for a grand ceremony to honor Kale's accomplishments. Delegates from all attending worlds gathered, their forms glowing softly in the light. Music filled the air, not with violence or competition, but with harmony and celebration. Kale stood beside Seraphine, feeling a mixture of humility and pride. Seraphine addressed the assembly. "Tonight, we celebrate not only Kale but what he represents, the spirit of humanity, a species that combines curiosity, resilience, and creativity. A species capable of understanding and connecting with the universe in ways that inspire us all. Let this evening be a reminder that greatness comes not from power alone, but from insight, collaboration, and the willingness to learn. Delegates offered gestures of respect, words of admiration, and tokens of gratitude. Kale felt overwhelmed by the recognition, yet he also felt the weight of responsibility. The universe was vast, and humans had much to learn, but they also had much to offer. After the ceremony, Kale walked through the floating gardens with Seraphine. The air shimmered with bioluminescent flora, and soft melodies echoed across the terraces. "You have done well, Kale," Seraphine said. "Your journey is not finished. You will return to your world, yes, but the lessons and connections you have made here will continue to grow. You will carry the spirit of Lithera with you, and it will guide humanity in the stars." Kale nodded, feeling a sense of purpose deeper than anything he had known. "I will not forget, Lady Seraphine, and I will do my best to ensure that humanity rises to the challenge, just as you have guided me to rise." As the twin moons of Lithera reflected softly on the gardens, Kale realized that this experience had transformed him. He was no longer just a visitor. He was a representative of his species, a symbol of human potential, and a participant in a larger cosmic community. The lessons of creativity, empathy, and collaboration would guide him in every challenge to come. Before retiring for the night, Kale climbed to the palace observatory one last time. The stars stretched infinitely above him, each one a reminder of worlds yet to explore, civilizations yet to meet, and opportunities yet to embrace. He felt a quiet determination settle within him. Humanity had the power to rise, to connect, and to create solutions that could resonate across the galaxy. And Kale knew that he, as an ambassador and learner, would be at the forefront of that journey. Lady Seraphine joined him, her presence calm and reassuring. "Look at the universe, Kale. Every star, every planet, every being has something to teach us, and you have proven that humans are ready to learn, to grow, and to contribute. Carry this knowledge home, and you will shape not only your world but the galaxy beyond." Kale looked out at the cosmos, feeling a profound sense of purpose. He had witnessed wonders, solved challenges, and connected with beings from countless worlds. But more than that, he had discovered the potential within himself, and within humanity, to rise above limitations, to embrace creativity, and to make a positive impact. The night was quiet, the stars shining like distant promises. Kale felt ready to return home, not as the same man who had arrived on Lithera, but as a representative of humanity's best qualities. He understood that the journey was ongoing, that the universe was vast, and that humans had much to offer. And as he whispered a promise to the stars, Kale felt a sense of peace and anticipation. He would carry the lessons of Lithera, the wisdom of Lady Seraphine, and the spirit of collaboration into the universe. Humanity had been given a chance to rise, and he would ensure they embraced it fully. The city below shimmered in soft light, the twin moons reflecting on the gardens and towers. Kale knew that tomorrow and every day after was a new opportunity. A chance to explore, to learn, and to shine. And with that thought, Kale looked toward the stars, feeling the infinite possibilities that awaited humanity in the vast, boundless cosmos.